seriously, what the fuck? Like, that's where I'm at right
No,
now.
I shouldn't have. You had to wait until I got my cough out first.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I just found a great article. Great, a great quote.
Welcome to Two Dads Talking, where we are going 180 degrees away from where we were 2 weeks ago.
1057 degrees.
Oh my goodness. So literally 2 episodes ago, we went and had to talk about Giselle Pellico and like the extremely brave thing that she's doing after being victimized by her husband and 71 men, 51 of which got brought to court already. And we talked about how courageous she was and what it, how risky it was for her to not do this anonymously. And tonight, I got to tell you, we're going a different place. Doug totally
This
sent me
is
down a different hole, if you'll forgive
this is my
that
fault.
joke. This is 100% Doug. So I am so sorry for what we're about to drop on you guys, but
Counter dad joke. It's not a different hole. It's the
oh
same hole over
gosh.
and over again.
All right, so
Okay.
I thought when Doug messaged me today about, hey, what are we talking about tonight? To preface this, I am a mess. I haven't slept in 2 days. My dad had a serious health medical emergency that's been messing with me, and I've been up and down, and I am short on sleep. I am sick. My car literally died on me while I was driving on the highway today. Just everything powered off and power steering went, and everything just died as I'm driving down the road. Like it's already been a day, right? It's
Wait, this is
been
not your ghost friend, right?
no, this is not my ghost friend. I think it's a problem with the battery terminals. The corrosion and something went wrong, and the battery
Okay.
just lost connection and died. The alternator took over, and then when it ran out of juice, everything just died. So
Okay.
nothing better than when you're sick and it's 21 degrees out, and you thought you were going to get gas and then do a blood draw. That instead you're just standing on the side of the road like, whoops. So it was fine. I got into a parking garage nearby and waited for someone to come get me. I only say that to say this has already been a really weird day, and I'm already sick, and I haven't slept, and I'm in a weird place. And Doug sends me a text. Hey, tonight you want to talk about that? You want to talk about that girl who slept with 100 people in a day? That's what I thought the text said. I assumed he meant Lily Phillips, which was a big story last month that I had messaged him about, like, hey, maybe we should talk about this on the cast. This is kind of wild. And we talked about that very briefly. And in the back of my head, we were going to revisit Lily Phillips and talk about her on the cast. So when he said that, I jumped, oh, yeah, let's talk about Lily Phillips. Cool. And we're talking tonight after we fix Doug's shitty computer. He finally gets it fixed. 46 minutes after we started trying to record tonight, we're finally digging in. On a night that I wanted to start early and finish early, we're finally starting 46
Stop it.
minutes in.
Stop it.
And and he drops this ball on me. No, no, that's not Lily Phillips I was talking about. This is Bonnie, would you say Bonnie Blue?
It says Blue Bonnie
Blue
is
Bonnie. And,
or
and I said,
Yeah,
no, I don't know this one. He says, yeah,
Bonnie
she
Blue. It's Bonnie Blue. Okay, I'm sorry. It says
okay.
Bonnie Blue here.
So,
Whatever.
so,
Yeah.
so I said, no, no, it's Lily Phillips. She's going to sleep with 1,000 men this year. She's training for 300 in March. She did 100 and did the documentary. And he says, no, no, this woman was with over 1,000 guys in 12 hours. And then I don't even know what it was I did or said, but Doug said, oh my God, that look on your face, hit record right now. Hit it, hit it, hit it. And so we hit record, and you guys got us in the middle of my conscious streaming, and oh my goodness. He's not kidding. 1,057 guys in less than 12 hours? That's 60 seconds a person. That's 40 some odd seconds a person. It's two-thirds of a minute per person. And that's if it's immediate back to back, no stopping for anything, no transition time. Uh, okay, Doug, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm going to sit here and be quiet now because I've done too much talking. And go ahead, please.
Okay, so first thing is that this is a claim. This there's uh, I'm not as well versed. Okay, let me backtrack for a second before I say something that sticks a huge you know what in my mouth.
As long as it's less
Pervs.
than
I meant a
1,057 of
foot.
them.
I meant a foot in my mouth, not the
Uh-huh.
other thing.
Yeah.
Um, Lily Phillips last month, as I understand it, there's like evidence of this apparently.
Oh yeah,
Like
it was filmed. Yep.
there's okay, there's supposedly there was filmed. I have not seen said evidence, but the way the internet was talking about it, it sounded like she did it.
Yep.
This is supposedly still a claim. I don't know that anyone's officially said like yes she did it. This is just a claim that's like right now a day or two old. But the claim was that so Lily Phillips did the 100 guys in whatever 12 hours. And then Lily Phillips was going to be supposedly training to do 1,000 guys in 24 hours. And then this Bonnie Blue says, hey, I just recently did 1,057 guys in 12 hours. I I do have questions. Before I get too far into this, I found this article that was trying to get into what a psychosexual therapist and sex educator would say on the mental part of this and all that. But here's the quote from Bonnie's PR. I'm sorry, I just can't. She's such a philanthropist. It's how this paints it. She slept with 1,057 people. As she hit 1,000, there were still 57 left in the queue who Bonnie wanted to pleasure before ending the 12-hour day. What a thoughtful person. These poor 57 guys, they weren't going to get it, but she was like, you know what? Bring them in. Pun intended. Let's do this. Also, pun intended.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's the next part. For any of you who are actually taking this with a grain of salt, I think you should. With no breaks, zero breaks. This implies one person every 40, like 41.8 seconds, like 41 or 42 seconds
Yep.
when you do the math.
0.68 minutes per person. So just over 2/3 of a minute. So yeah, probably 41, 42 seconds.
For me, this has to work out to, at absolute best, one person every 20 seconds because you have like dismount time, for example, and just literally, I guess if you're envisioning this, it's just literally a line of guys. There's probably like 8 to 10 in the room at a time, like just constant moving, ready to go. Someone's like ushering them all, and people have to like move around each other. Like, do they have, is it like COVID where they had like stickers on the ground, like stand here, you're next, arrows, like walk this way?
Oh no,
You
I'm looking
know?
at an article right now that shows it was very, very different from that. She talks about the
It doesn't sound
logistics of
very
how she did
organized.
it. Oh, it sounds like they were very organized. She said that they did it in groups of five. They bring five people into the room at a time, and she would handle two to three at one time. And when someone
Okay.
finished in that group
Oh,
of
so
five,
okay.
when someone finished in that group of five, two other people would quote, and not quote, but pardon the pun, fill their place. And when that group of five was complete, another group of five would rotate in. After they went through about 150 people this way, she decided she wanted to give people more time. So she reduced the group numbers from five. And eventually she reduced it all the way down to one-on-ones, with one person watching while she was pleasuring the other person. But she started off rotating them in groups of fives, then eventually stepped it down to smaller groups. But it sounds like there was multiple people doing this at one time, which doesn't add a lot to that time frame, really. But it is a little more time than, 40 seconds a person, I guess. If you're double dipping, pardon that bad pun, I
No.
guess you can save some time. Triple dipping,
This is I call bullshit.
I call bullshit too.
This whole like five at a time, that I mean, it's not that I'm bitter and it's not that I think my way is better, but my way is better. Like having your spots on the floor and 8 people. What does 5 people at a time mean? I mean, if you set yourself up to be like, she's not literally servicing 5 people all exactly at the same time. Like you have a front and a back, and then I guess oral, and then it's not like your ears. It's got to be like each hand,
Yeah,
but
that's
that
five.
doesn't. I mean, the two hands for sure don't count as, but that doesn't
No,
count as sleeping with somebody,
no,
right?
I'm assuming she got them
Like
close
by
to climax and
common
then
colloquial
inserted
stuff.
them as kind of like my initial theory for someone to do something like this. There has to be a fluffer or somebody
Your
working behind the
fluffer.
scenes, and they're getting the person close, and then the person
It
basically
sounds like
just puts it in
multiple
to ejaculate.
fluffers.
Yeah, that has to be. I can't believe we're talking about this. Yes, that has to be how something like this would work if it actually happened. 1,000 people in 12 hours. logistically does not make sense to me. That the Lily Phillips, excuse me, the Lily Phillips story, right, was 101 guys in 14 hours. And that boiled down to like 8 minutes and 20 seconds a person. And even
See,
that
that
one, I
makes
was like,
sense.
I didn't think it did. Even that one, I was like, yeah, right. 101 guys and your average time is going to be 8 minutes. That doesn't seem right. Like I had a hard time buying that one, a hard time swallowing it, if you will. In this case, there's no chance that 1,057 guys had an average climax time under 40 seconds. There's no chance. That
No.
is not
See,
realistic.
that's the thing. Okay, here's my problem. I think you're assuming that they all climax. People sleep with people without actually climaxing.
Oh, I see.
Admittedly, it's mostly the women, but you just like once you're like in, like you maybe claim like a full in, then like that counts now because you've had home plate
So
kind of
you
thing. It
think
can be
that's what
short, but
happened
you've
here?
slept with them officially.
Okay.
I think the guys were under strict instruction to prep themselves, or someone maybe was helping them prep a little bit, and they just had to be, hard to get to go
Huh.
there, and they didn't actually have to finish. I mean, if they're claiming that they finished, then yeah, this definitely there's no way. My contention is that this might be BS, even if it's just that. I mean, this has to be what they like I said, I think I saw somewhere they said something like they took a 3 minute break to like eat food real quick, or a 5 minute break to eat food real quick. That is like six or seven automatically that are not accounted for. Like that adds, that makes it like one every 37 seconds or 38 seconds probably when you change the math on that a little bit. Like it goes down even further. And I'm just imagining people literally working around each other in a room, like just okay, your turn, okay, your turn, okay, your turn. Like someone's gonna like take an extra slow step up there, and just the literally putting yourself in position is like 5 or 6 seconds a person. Like this, I think this was five people in a room based on your quote. I think this was five people in a room at a time, and they were like just taking turns revving up just to say they were in, and then like go and then get out. And then as they were realizing they were going to hit 1,012 hours, then they slowed it down a little bit because it was probably like crazy hectic, and she realized just wanted things to slow down a little bit. Pun intended. Also, there's so many puns in this.
Wow. That's this. Yeah. I guess the big thing is how are we defining what was sex there? Like, because I guess you're right. If it's just like in, out, over, sure. But I feel like someone needs to climax for it to be, in this case, counted as sex in any meaningful way. A queue of
Yeah,
1,000
but this
men
is
is a
oh yeah,
kilometer long. Interesting point.
let's make this meaningful.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right on that one.
And see, you know what? They haven't actually said what they constituted this, or like I said, if it just has to be like insertion or actually any sort of like climaxing of any kind. And it's probably to their benefit. She's just made this claim. Everyone's talking about it, if only because it's gross. I mean, she's been accused slash admitted of doing like, rage bait and clickbait kinds of things in the past.
Yeah.
She, this probably people just even talking about this, they're not going to say what constituted it because it'll either take the craziness away or it'll prove that it's BS.
Ugh. All right. Wow. See, I was ready to have like an interesting conversation about Lily Phillips. Like I was on board and ready to talk about that, and it was an interesting story. This one is so hard to believe. I don't even know what else to say about this. I don't buy it. It doesn't the math doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't.
Yeah, something's not adding up with this.
Yeah.
I mean, if I believe that if it's quote true, it was what I said. It's just guys lined up. I think your idea of fluffing, pre-gaming, somebody helping them pre-game is likely, and I think it is just okay. You did it. Get out. Like it
Wow.
doesn't even make sense to try to set yourself up to have two at a time, like each way, because that would just be more logistics. I feel like someone trying to readjust or whatever. I think she's if she did this, she was just there, and it was just like, your turn. Put in your coin. Lily
Wow.
Phillips is a lot more interesting because it's obviously much more doable and can have at least some version of actual like activity involved where each person is at least doing some sort of action potentially.
Well, and I just felt like Lily did so many interviews about it, and she did a documentary with a local paper, and I forget the guy's name. But like she just made herself so available afterward that I'm more inclined to believe her claims and what she. And I mean, I guess they also videoed the whole thing, start to finish. But I just it's more interesting to me, I guess, because it's believable and because she made herself so available to talk about it afterward, even though she said wildly different things in different interviews. Um,
Yeah.
I feel like that gives me some ground. This is holy hell. Like, yeah. All right. Well, that's an interesting one. Thanks, Doug. Welcome to Two Dads Talking. Woo! Um, yeah, wow, she makes 600,000 pounds a month, does Bonnie Blue. It's a little over $1 million a month, approximately. I'm in the wrong line of work.
Mm. This is you can't get into this line of work.
Well, not at that level, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you could probably find 1,000 men to line up for you, but that's a whole different ball game.
I don't know that I could.
Oh, you could.
I don't know.
Does this smell like chloroform to you?
That's my favorite pickup line. I shouldn't joke about that. That's an awful joke.
It is an awful joke.
It's just interesting that we went from, Giselle to this. That's oof, boy, thank God we had the 50th in between.
Right. You know what I remembered the other day? Sorry, this is totally unrelated to anything, but I realized that this 2 days ago I was having some thought and I was like, oh my God, we talked about Edgar Allan Poe and like vote stealing too, and that didn't make it in either at all.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that. That
I
was
I had
another thing that we
forgotten that
spent
one
some
too.
actual
Yeah.
couple of minutes on.
Yep. I had forgotten all about that one.
Yeah, talked about a lot.
We've covered a lot on this thing. We really have.
I know. Okay, question. Just knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Let's pretend this 1,057 in 12 hours is, quote, true, or at least she believes or claims it's true because there was at least some sort of type of sexual action with these men in
Sure.
that time. Like if she's trying to count, quote, oral sex because it has the word sex in it, like for example, whatever, then she could have like say two or three at a time, depending upon which line is working. Which of these two is more traumatized?
The men or her? Or are you talking about
Oh,
Lily
I
or
was gonna
her?
say, sorry, yeah, Lily or Bonnie.
I am going traumatized from this experience or just in general?
I'll let you answer both.
All right, well, from this experience, probably Bonnie because she's gonna have less people believing in her. So if she really did do this thing, I'm envisioning the physical tolls of this on the body, not even emotional, not even cognitive, but just the physical tolls of 1,000 different penises in you in 12 hours. There's probably not enough lubricant in the world. I would imagine you got your icing, you're doing all kinds of other stuff like that. That's got to be a lot of wear and tear. And if you went through all of that and you legitimately did go through all of that, and then nobody believes you did it, that's going to be pretty traumatic because why the hell did you do it afterward? So I think if you and if people do believe that you did it, I look at the heat that Lily Phillips is getting right now for 100, and it's going to be 10 times worse. And she was already like two of the articles I just pulled up. She was already a controversial figure on OnlyFans because apparently she made her rise to fame, with virgins and with people who were like the day they turned 18, and I guess she's an older woman, but like she got her notoriety by literally on OnlyFans taking away guys' virginity and like being there first, and I guess she's already kind of under the fire for that with some people. So my guess is she probably felt more like she had something to prove. She felt more like she needed validation in some way, and in doing this, if no one believes her, she doesn't get that validation and it's going to traumatize her. And if people did believe her and she really did do this, then physically she's going to be traumatized because that has got to hurt. And yeah, I'm gonna go with Bonnie. And the fact that Lily Phillips is talking about she's training to do 300 men in a day in March, and then she's going to train to do 1,000 in a day and break the record later this year. Clearly, she's not traumatized enough to stop. So clearly, she's just not that traumatized over this experience yet.
You know what I love about us, Tom?
I'm afraid to ask.
We disagree on apparently this too.
Well, let me ask, where were you that day?
Which one? Um, if both happened, I would actually contend that Lily is more likely to be more traumatized. Um, this and my reasoning is that if you're really doing one person, well, first of all, it's 12 hours in both cases.
No, it's 14 for Lily.
Well, okay, but we're using just like for this is not to me the number of dicks is less important than just the sheer amount of time of being dicked. Like if
Okay.
they both went for 12 hours and one was 100 people and one was 1,000 people, it's still 12 hours of being dicked.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, Lily had, I can't believe I'm saying this, only 100. And that's when you have five, even 5 plus minutes, like if someone's just ready to get down to business, that's still like time with the person. That's still, you know, I don't know, getting used to them a little bit. Probably one or both people trying a different position or two or anything, or just, some different pacing or speeds or anything. Maybe some talking, some like eye contact, like whatever you want to call it. Lily had more literal exposure to each of her people. So if there is any emotional anything happening in either of these women, Lily is the one that would have some sort of emotional response to these guys more likely. Bonnie, one every 40 seconds, but you definitely took a break to like, I don't know, maybe go to the bathroom, only to like eat something real quick. This is almost like to me, she's probably just looking at it as a pure numbers game. Like she could zone out, read a book, whatever, as long as everyone's only allowed to just like insert once and then get on their way. That's not time for someone to make an awkward move and hurt you. That's
She's
not
almost like in a glory hole watching TV while people are just getting in and out, basically.
correct. She doesn't have to actually look at anybody or acknowledge anybody or interact with anybody. She doesn't have to have a any version of any relationship with these people. For all she cares, it could be a machine instead of just a bunch of guys. So that's why I would think she would be less traumatized. Like to me, this would be the same as like I want to slap 1,000 guys in 12 hours, and you just line them up and you give them one good slap each, and like that's it. Like it's that you're just going for strictly numbers. You're not trying to go for any version of truly having any relations with somebody. The 100 men in 12 or 14 hours, unless you're taking an hour break in between and you're actually going at the same clip, this strikes me as someone who would have had more exposure to the people, but still the same amount of time, being dicked.
Yeah, see, I don't think there's any emotional connection there at all in either case. I think there's literally zero because in both cases they were just total strangers. They both literally just put up an ad that said, "Hey, who wants to come fuck?" And literally just open it to the public. The only requirement in Lily's case, and I don't know anything about Bonnie's, but I read that very brief article just now. But in Lily, the only requirement she had was that they were 18 years or older. There's literally nothing else. She
Well,
talked
right, but
about
100 people, you're going to remember at least 10 or 15 of them just on
I
principle.
don't think that you will, unless something truly different happened. I think that whole time is going to be repressed. Is going to be a blur in her mind. Um, I feel like the body has got to respond to this in a similar way that it would to a sexual assault. I think because it is physical trauma. That many dicks is physical trauma in that short of time. It just is. There's no other way around it. That is physical trauma to your body, and it's just that's got to be an awful. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, right, and that's the thing. Fewer people means each person has more time to try stuff and to be there longer.
I
So,
agree. No, I agree. But I don't
that
think
to
there's
me,
going to
that's
be a
more,
connection. I really don't think there's going to be a connection with 100. I think I just don't. She said basically after 30, she felt like a robot and it was just going through the
yeah.
process after
Well,
30.
well, I agree, but that's what I mean. I'm not saying that she like has feelings for these people per se, but I don't know exactly how to say this. because it feels weird, pun intended. I don't know exactly how to say it. And also, I'm a man, so I really don't know. In both cases, you can start to, quote, feel like a robot or zone out or whatever. But I don't know, just to me, there's something, it's so easy to pass off 1,000 when each one of them is like just a couple of seconds. Like you're sitting there going, how many are we at? But each individual person who's there, each of the individual men, is using Lily more than the ones who were using Bonnie. Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying, but I disagree with it. I think they're using exactly the same.
If you ever have if there's ever a little tick in your brain afterwards that says, wow, I really feel ashamed of this, or I should feel ashamed for this, then to me, Lily's going to be more traumatized because each individual person got to really use her body for them, like for their, actual like extended pleasure. This was not just someone wanting to take part in a Guinness Book of World Records. Like to me, that's a different attitude altogether, maybe even from the men too.
No, I still feel like the attitude was the same. And I guess it all hinges to me on what exactly Bonnie did, on what constitutes sex. I think that's probably the determining factor for me. If they literally just stuck it in, pumped once, and then left, then yeah, Bonnie's not traumatized. Like in the same, not in the same way. Still a lot
That's one of
there.
those like that's one of the like letter of the law but not spirit of the law kinds of things. I
Right,
think
right. And
no
I guess
matter how you, yeah,
without knowing that, I guess I can't really answer the question and really tell you how I feel. I get the sense that, with Lily, the way she talked about it, that everybody, all the guys finished is kind of the understanding I got, watching. I watched part of the documentary today when I had time. I watched a couple of clips, and the impression I got is that she, quote, pleasured each of those men. I don't know what the case is with this blue bonnet, blue Bonnie Blue. I don't know what her case is. I didn't look at that. But oh
I
my
think no
gosh.
matter what it is from Bonnie Blue, I think there's a reason they haven't actually given more details beyond that because
Yeah.
that'd be something that most people agree is actually not sleeping with somebody. And even if they sort of admitted what we can all kind of get to, like conclusion wise, then it'll sort of take away that lackluster, like, okay, yeah, like you did it by the book, but that's about it. This isn't really an accomplishment of any kind. It's not even the kind of disgusting it would take to like, I don't know, string yourself up from the ceiling so that
Oh, I
you can
think
get
this
more
is
than
a
one participant.
ridiculous level of disgusting. Like, I don't want to kink
Oh,
shame
I mean, it's
anybody, but this
disgusting.
is a really nasty
Well, but
disgusting.
like, but
What does that
having
room
each guy
smell
come
like?
in
What does that room smell like?
sweat, okay, it's fine. It,
Lily's cameraman says he gagged and couldn't stop from gagging in the room with just 100 guys. Like he couldn't control his
I don't
gag
know why you even
reflex.
need a cameraman. You couldn't just have like a wide zoom, like a panorama, just
Got to
sitting
have
there
witnesses. If you're going to
hanging it.
submit this thing, you got to have witnesses.
I mean, I guess
She doesn't want this blue. She doesn't want this Bonnie Blue controversy, man. She doesn't want people saying she didn't do it.
no.
If you'll forgive this expression, it's a much cleaner finish for her.
Mm, I don't like it. That's like the worst pun so far tonight. I don't like it. I
That's not
disapprove.
setting the bar very high. It's really not.
No, it's not. I I think that even if Bonnie did it, if they reveal how they did it, it just takes away the luster. It's like, oh, okay, that's like, yeah, you
There's
did
no
it, but it's
luster.
like that's not really.
No, Douglas. There's no luster in this anyway. There's no luster.
If you're all about the record, if you're all about the record and all
All
about
right.
being first, Tom, then that is the luster.
I guess that's
Any
fair.
sport, any contest. Well, you did it this way. Yeah, but I still did it. My number's higher. My record's on the record board and not yours. I think Lily Phillips is getting all this attention and this Bonnie Blue she just wanted a little bit of the limelight. I'll bet you she didn't actually do this.
I'm with you. I don't think she did. But I do want to point out that what you just said is a pretty ringing endorsement for Tom Brady and his championships and his records. And it's nice of you to do that. It's been a while since you praised him and acknowledged his greatness and his goatness. And it's nice that you did it, through this bizarre, millennium or mill sex worker case. This is interesting. Um, I think Tilly's is just more
You mean
interesting,
no matter
honestly.
how he did it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's only one person here is a cheater, and it's Tom Brady. It's not Lily or Bonnie. So,
I think Bonnie might be
just
a cheater. I think Tilly's the more interesting one because
also Bill Belichick walks in the room. What is Lily or Bonnie doing?
Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lily's about his age. Like she's about as old as his current girlfriend, so that would work for him. How old is Bonnie Blue? I should have looked that up because she appears to be older.
Man, that's like the meanest thing you've said about her all night.
Oh no, she's only 25 years old. She does not look like she's 25. Yikes.
No, she doesn't. Oh, born 1999. Ew. You know what? Those all those surgeries and things they do nowadays that ladies don't do that. It
I
doesn't look
agree.
good.
Well, and why would you change your body to make yourself look good for other people? Um,
Jesus.
my 9-year-old has discovered makeup, and the first time she walked downstairs, I was putting work in on the computer, and she walked down with lipstick on, and I just did a double take, like, the fuck? What is happening here? And it was mommy teaching her how to do some stuff and them having some bonding time. And my gut reaction was, you don't need to make yourself look different for anybody. Like, you need to just be proud of how you look and who you are. And you don't need to doll yourself up for anyone. I don't like when my wife puts on makeup, and I've told her this, and she still puts it on. And I've come to realize that it's a thing for her and I can't understand it, and just to kind of accept that it's not my thing. But yeah, women for the most part, you guys don't need to put on airs to look good for men. You don't need to change yourselves. And any guy who you think you need to do that for is probably not worth your attention. And I'll just leave that really overgeneralized statement at that. Um, but going as far as surgery like this woman in every picture I saw on the articles I was scrolling through when you brought her up, she looks like she's in her early 40s, late 30s, early 40s. I go to click on her thing here. How old is Bonnie Blue? And yeah, she looks younger in these pictures, some of them, but she does not look 25. She looks older and yeah, weathered is the word I want to use. Yeah, I don't get the surgeries.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was meaner than the first thing I said for sure.
You're so vicious.
I'm a hard guy. What can I say?
If someone told me you look weathered, I'd be like, fuck you too.
Well, I mean, you
Man.
look at Lily Phillips, and she looks like a 23-year-old. It's totally different. Yeah,
No, I do agree. I agree. I that was one reason in particular that I fell for my wife, I think, was that did not she did not need makeup to do anything in particular, and she didn't really it wasn't a big deal to her. Like she was not big on, doing up all the makeup, and I liked that. I think it can be a personality thing when someone like literally looks different.
yeah,
Um, like random side story, there was a when I was waiting tables one day, there was a hostess, and I went, "Oh, they must be new." And 3 hours later, like halfway through the shift, I suddenly realized that it's someone I've been working alongside for like 3 or 4 months. She just forgot to put on makeup today because she woke up too late or whatever. She couldn't, she had to
yeah,
come right to work because she overslept her alarm. She looked like a different person. Just had seen her 3 days a week for literally months, and I did not recognize her without her makeup.
mm,
And that was an instant turn off in every kind of way. Like it was already like not like I was thinking about like trying to ask her out or anything, but cute girl, like they're, restaurant hostesses. And like after that, it was just like, wow, I just want nothing to do with you. Like I learned something about you today and it's not good.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know why you do that. It must be one of those things that ladies do for each other. Maybe they think they're doing something. I don't
I
know.
I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me, but I accept that there are things that are not my experience that I just don't understand and don't comprehend, and that's okay. So some fun notes about the Lily Phillips one, since we briefly touched on it. She's currently facing an Airbnb ban.
Briefly touched.
Yes, briefly. Um,
I did hear about that actually, because shouldn't she do this at an Airbnb?
She did it at an Airbnb. She did not tell the owner that this is what she was going to do. The owner found out after the fact during the documentary when he recognized paintings on the wall and recognized the district and was like, "That's my Airbnb," and realized he had rented it to her. and he's mad, and and Airbnb is banning her, or is talking about banning her because she violated the maximum number of guests policy. To which there's something really funny. There's a joke in there, a really good joke in there somewhere to be honed. But yeah, maximum number of guests, too many. Um, yeah, I, gu- I guess they're not renting to Bonnie Blue.
There's got to be a better policy, right? Like n no
You would think.
lewd acts or something.
I would have thought it would have been something. Well, sex isn't a lewd act. You can't. I don't think you can go there with this one, especially in Britain, where they're a little bit more forward thinking on some of this stuff. Where I would have thought you went was it's a commercial thing.
Isn't an orgy lewd though? And wouldn't this constitute an orgy just by definition? I mean,
No,
like,
they're
okay, for the record, because I like to be Mr. like rational, legal, like devil's
yeah,
advocate stuff. That is probably the best one to use, like too many guests, because
yeah,
that is verifiable. Like you had this many people, it's on camera. No matter what you guys did, like we got you on this
yeah,
one
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
So I actually agree with picking that. It's just kind of funny that that's no one
Yes.
went to it, didn't try to go for three policies, just stuck to that one.
Well, I actually thought it would be like a commercial use policy because if you're using someone's rental property for commercial use, there's a lot of Airbnb says you will not do that. It's recreational only because they have to carry different kinds of insurance if people are doing business on the property. This was very
Right.
clearly a commercial use of that property, and I kind of thought they were going to go after that way and then sue her for a percentage of the proceeds. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen
Yeah.
there. It's one of those things I'll want to follow out of curiosity now. If you haven't seen the documentary, it's an interesting watch. The guy asks some good questions. She has some interesting things to say. I would imagine Bonnie Blue's probably got a similar number of interviews and discussions and lots of interesting things. But the thing with Lily Phillips, you watch the interviews, and all I could think was this girl is so naive, like just so naive. And some of the stuff she says just kind of blew my mind. The guy was talking to her about, well, how are you going to be? She said she wanted to pleasure them, and he said, well, how are you going to be pleasuring them? This is a lot of guys, and she said, however they want. They can finish in my face, they can finish in my mouth, they can finish downstairs, like wherever they want. They can do, we'll do whatever. I'm here to pleasure them. And he said something like, well, are you screening them for STDs? And she said, no. He was like, so you just let them finish in your mouth without having to screen them for STDs? She said, well, yeah. And he said, aren't you worried about like HIV? She goes, well, I don't think that's quite how that gets passed along. And he went, sometimes. And she said, oh, I've been with hundreds of guys and I never thought about that one. And I'm like, what? So just like the naivete and some of the way she answered things, it kind of made me go, are you really the best person to make these decisions for your body? And oh man, I just imagine someone like that having a child. And I don't know. It was weird watching the documentary and hearing her very flippant responses. And I wonder where we are just like with sex in general in this country right now. I mean, I know it's more casual than it's ever been before in a lot of ways. Have we finally overcorrected so much from like the super prudish ways that we used to have that now we're just it's gotten so cheap that we're glorifying something like this? And I think the answer is yes, even though this isn't in our country. I think the answer is probably yes. I think that sex has just gotten so cheap. I don't know. We've managed to remove a lot of the consequences from it through condoms and pills. And when you remove the consequences and you strip that down, I think a lot of the value goes with it. Consequences add value to things. And I think we've taken a lot of that away. I don't know. I was a promiscuous young man. I'm not judging. I'm just thinking.
I mean, I agree with that. Yes, duh. I mean, this is kind of like when you were talking about Giselle Pellico's husband, and you were like, "Wow, what a coincidence! They found him going after girl skirts." And I said, "Of course he did." Like, she goes, "Oh, I've never really thought about that with HIV," and it's like, "Of course she didn't." Like, this is not the kind of person who thinks these things. This is, someone who
Yeah.
has the wherewithal to do that much planning and that much um what's word I'm looking for has a little bit more rational self-preservation would not be seeking this kind of attention. I don't think, because they would be thinking longer term. This is someone who thinks, how can I get internet attention, clickbait, fame, whatever, like now? Like what can I do to be relevant right now? That's not surprising to me. I mean, I felt like a little dirty bringing up Ashley Madison however many episodes ago, but honestly, like that's completely tame
Yeah.
compared to this. That's
Yeah, that's
nothing.
not even in this ballpark. That's eesh.
So it's fine. It's good. I think people have always been people, and people like to claim that, we were prudish in the past and all that stuff. And I I don't have like hard evidence for it, but I think we only went through little periods of prudishness. I think on the whole, realistically, people have been overall more promiscuous and lustful. I mean, to use a literary example for you, Tom, first, I mean, in Dante's Inferno, the first level of hell is lust, and sort of explains that that's the one that the most people fall victim to. That's the one that kind of gets everybody, even just lustful thoughts from an otherwise righteous man. There's countless stories in the ancient Greek, ancient Roman stuff about, just husbands and even the occasional like power player wife just being, just sleeping with anybody who they want. I mean, even we haven't even gotten to the whole like invaders like Viking and Hun and stuff like that kind of setups where they just took women as they pleased, which is a certain level of promiscuity there. But anytime any society in history has had some level of autonomy for both sexes, there's plenty of stories of even women being promiscuous. I think the cases where there's true punishment for promiscuity are actually relatively rare. You have some of the like quote golden years of America. You have some of the ancient Israelite and Hebrew kinds of societies. A lot of the ancient Arabic stuff in general is like that too. But there's much more promiscuity in Greek, Roman. I think even some of the Chinese stuff too when you look for it. But again, I can't just sit here and cite it all. But I think this is the human condition. The problem is we have the internet now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Well, that was fun. Huh.
Really wondering what kind of ads I'm going to see now after a little bit of googling. It's not going to be good.
That's what incognito browsers are for, Douglas. Incognito browsers.
Oh, is that what that means?
Oh, wow. Yeah, thanks for sharing Bonnie Blue Bonnie. Thanks for sharing Bonnie with me. That was same thing that 1056 other guys said. So, ugh, yeah. Well, you managed to go ahead and blow my mind tonight. That I was not expecting that. That was wow. I'm good. I'm done.
You got any dad jokes? I got two for you. You ready?
All right, go for it.
Daddy jokes. What do you
Daddy
call it?
jokes or dad jokes?
Yes. What do you call it when a hotel mattress is ruined from too much vacation sex?
When a hotel mattress is ruined from too much vacation sex?
Yes.
That sounds like adultery to me.
Spring break.
That's good. That's good.
All right. What's 6 inches long and has two nuts at the end?
6 inches long and has two nuts at the end.
Yeah,
Uh, um, a 6 inch oak limb. Uh-huh.
an almond joy.
That's good. Uh, those are good. Those are good. All right, I've got two bad dad jokes for you. Since we were going with the sex workers angle, I didn't bother keeping them clean or fun. Do you know why hotel sex is so much better than sex at home?
I feel like this is one I've actually heard before, so I'm gonna really kick myself when I feel like I don't get it because I'm definitely clearly in an overthinking mood tonight. uh oh, because everybody loves room service.
No, no. I'm not
Mm.
sure what it actually is, but it's probably something to do with the prostitute. On that note, I went to a hooker one time, and the whole time I was with her, like getting worked up and heading up to the room, she just kept telling me, "Small penis, no problem. Small penis, no problem. Small penis, no problem." And got all excited about it. And in hindsight, I really would have felt better if she'd had no penis at all.
Yes, I saw that one coming.
All right. Well, so did she. What's the difference between having sex with a prostitute, your girlfriend, and your wife?
Uh, wow. Boy, this is one of those jokes that could go either way, where there is no difference or there's some really snide difference.
There's a difference for each. Yes.
Um, Wait, so prostitute, girlfriend, wife.
Yes. The difference between having sex with
Um,
prostitute, girlfriend, and with wife.
One you have to pay for financially, another you have to pay for emotionally, and the third you have to pay for mentally.
I like that. That's accurate. But it's not the
Okay.
punchline. That's too realistic and honest to be funny. The
No,
prostitute says,
two of them involve food.
well, eh. The prostitute says, "Are you done yet?" Your girlfriend says, "You're done already?" And your wife says, "Blue. We should definitely paint the wall blue."
Yeah, okay. All right.
Uh, I've only got one more, and it's dark humor. Do we want dark humor? Have we been so uplifting and optimistic?
Maybe, I don't know. You should have gone with that one first. Your second one vaulted me back to the 40-year-old virgin,
Uh,
where it was like, because his Adam's apple was as big as his penis.
I've got a police story about that one, actually. Share that sometime. It was my first night on evening
Oh,
shift
God.
FTO. Yeah. Um,
Oh, no.
um, this one time I was lost in the woods, and while I was walking, I found a dead hooker. That was how I knew I'd been walking in circles. Yeah. So, police story. I was on evening shift in FTO, and it was my first week on FTO. It might have been my first night. I feel like it was my first night. But my primary training officer wasn't available to take me out that night, so I was with like a backup officer, and one who I would later have arrested and end his career for doing awful things. I might have told that story in the podcast, but
Is it the guy at his house being
yeah,
lewd?
yeah, that was him.
You haven't told that on the podcast.
Oh, I haven't. Oh, maybe I'll
I
talk
don't
about that one
believe so.
sometime. Maybe we'll have
Yeah,
a police story episode. But
they should go on one. Yes, they
yeah.
should.
So we're cruising down Jefferson Boulevard probably, and it was dark, and there's a guy on a bike, and he's riding his bike very slowly up the sidewalk, very slowly, and he's getting up past this big car dealership that's on the corner, and he's clearly looking at the car dealership, and me being inexperienced and naive, kind of thought maybe he was looking at cars as he's riding his bike by. But it's dark, it's super dark. This is at like I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And my training officer goes, "You know what he's doing?" I said, "He's riding a bike." He goes, "You know what else he's doing?" Looking for a car because he's sick of riding his bike. And he goes, "No, no, he's about to meet a prostitute over there." And I went, "Huh?" He goes, "Yeah, he's gonna meet a hooker over there. He's got a girl somewhere in that lot. And he's looking for her and he's gonna go hook up." And I was like, "How do you know that?" He goes, "Because that's what they do." So all right. So we park the car a block up the street and we go for a walk. And we get out and we take the back side to the car dealership. And we walk around the lot. And sure enough, we see
Take the
old boy.
backside.
Yeah, take the back side. You gotta come in the back. And we get in there and we're walking and no flashlights. We're being as quiet as we can. And sure enough, we hear people and we look, we sneak up on them. And same guy that was riding his bike is in the far back corner between a couple of big minivans. And he's just making out with this hooker. Super short skirt, like long nails, everything just kind of blah. And he is tongue down her throat. She's got her hand down his pants, and they're going to town. She's fumbling at his belt, and we caught him in the early stages of their encounter. And my training officer takes the flashlight and just flashes it in their faces. Like, "Hey, good evening. How you doing?" And they start stumbling and muttering. The hooker is cool as a cucumber. She is like totally friggin' cool. Like she's probably been through this a dozen times. She knows that unless they admit that it's prostitution, we can't charge them. It's just making out in public. Like, yeah, it's lewd and lascivious, whatever. But clothes are still on. There's no genitalia exposed, and they're just making out and maybe trespassing if the dealership wants to press charges. But like she
And do you want to
knows.
do 3 hours of paperwork for
Right.
some like minor exposure or something. You don't want to do
Right.
that. Yeah,
Yep. So she knows as long as no one admits to prostitution, like we're not going to get a charge on that. And she knows this, and she's clearly confident and doesn't give a shit. Old boy is more emotional, clearly less experienced in this situation and very flustered. So my partner's trying to get him to admit it. He's like, "Look, man, I know you paid for this. No bitch this fine is with you. Like, we know better than this. Come on, you old nasty ass motherfucker, riding a bicycle up Jefferson. Like, this girl's not interested. You're not dating her. Oh no, she my girlfriend. We've been dating for 5 years now, and da da da. Oh yeah, what's her name? Her name's he made something up, you know. And we asked her, and she says, "Yeah, that's me. Like, you had an ID on you? No, I forgot my ID. Yeah, of course you did." And just
of
going
course you
on. And
did.
yeah, we're just trying to catch him in a lie and cannot catch this guy in a lie, but he's clearly getting worked up and fired up. And the more fired up he gets, the more she thinks it's funny. And it's just like, fuck these guys. Like, we're going to walk. I'm not worried about it. So finally, the guy says something to us. The John says something to us like, look, unless y'all get me to say something, I don't think you can do nothing, can you? Like, he catches on. And we said, no, no, you're right. Unless you admit to something, we can't charge either one of you. Like, we can't charge, you can't charge you for soliciting a prostitute. That's not something we can do unless you admit it. And he goes, I ain't gonna say shit. He said, well, we're not done yet. Can you let us finish talking? He goes, I told you I ain't gonna say shit. Just let me go. I'm like, listen, unless you admit to something, you're right. We can't charge you with hiring a prostitute. We can't. We also can't charge him for pretending to be a woman while he had his hand around your Johnson and was groping you in public. And he looked at me and he looked at us and went, what the fuck you talking about? That's a fine ass woman right there. You look at her, that's a fine ass bitch. And Party goes, uh-huh, it's a guy. He's in drag. Man, you fucking out your mind. That is a fucking fine ass woman. You see the titties on her? And my partner took his flashlight and shined it on her neck and went, do women have Adam's apples? Dude lost his mind. You motherfucker, you son of a, yeah, you goddamn right she a hooker. She was gonna blow me for $25. Gave us the whole thing. We put them both in the back of the car, hooked him up. He's still fussing at her. She's just going, you stupid motherfucker. Like, she dropped her voice back down a couple of octaves and was cussing him out as calm as cool. And oh man. Yeah, that was a fun one.
And later, she won boxing at the Olympics.
Oh,
So,
I'm not going
really, it's
there.
a redemption story, actually.
Yeah, it's a redemption story. Oh, goodness, about her transformation.
Yeah, overcoming the odds.
Yep. Oh, goodness. All right.
This was good.
This was good. I don't know if this was good. It was interesting.
I enjoyed myself.
Well, I'm glad you did. I'm not sure how I feel, except that I need a shower. That's all I know is that I need to go take a shower. I feel dirty.
You know what's been weird about this is that I've barely looked at your face this whole time. I just keep staring at the Subaru on your little beanie, and I'm like, why am I looking at the Subaru beanie?
I love this beanie. This is one of the warmest ones I've got. I love it. This is how you know I'm feeling sick because I'm sitting down here with a beanie and a
Just keep
sweatshirt.
looking at it. Like, I'm just reading Subaru for like 45 minutes. All right. Thank you for sticking with us, everybody, on this lewd, crude type of episode.
It has been lewd and crude.
Um,
Oh, I've got one more. What's the difference between a politician and a prostitute?
Nothing.
That's not true. A prostitute stops fucking you when you run out of money. Boom.
Boom.
Now we're good. Okay, I feel satisfied now. I got my 42 seconds of fun, 41 seconds of fun. Oh, yuck.
Yes.
God, I hope that's not true. Golly.
When you take like just that extra like moment to wrap your head around it just for a second, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, really. And for the guys, like, as a guy, I would not want to be affiliated with something like that. I just wouldn't.
I
And
mean, the internet discussion is going to the whole like, well, hold on a minute. We're like insulting the women, but what about the guys who sign up for
yeah,
this? And but see, to me, that's low hanging fruit. Like, of course you're gonna find guys to sign up for this. They're guys. For males 25 years and under, even being generous, 60% of most guys would be like, oh, well, like they'd at least like seriously consider it. It's probably more like 80%,
60% seems like a
honestly.
high number. No, So I spent my young years on an army base with like the horniest of hornies and the highest of testosterones. And I remember being in the Ranger barracks one morning, going to get my Ranger buddies to go to the gym and work out. Like the first time I ever got to go in the Ranger barracks. And I remember walking to the room and I don't think did I tell the story of the Rangerette already? Have I told the story on here?
No, you said on one of our previous episodes that you should tell the Rangerette story, but you were like, it's disgusting or whatever, and
Okay.
you
Well,
balked out of it.
it pales in comparison to this. So I'm going up to my buddy Evan's room to get him and a couple other guys to go to the gym. We're going to do some jujitsu and some rolling, and then we're going to work out, and then we're going to go to the Ranger Barracks and destroy a steak and egg breakfast because that's the kind of shit they got served in their DFAC that we didn't get. So I'm going to the gym with them, and we had been out the night before, so it's a little late in the morning for the gym. It's like 8:30. We go, and I'm walking up. I get up to the second floor, and I know what room number his room is, but I haven't been there before. It's my first time in their barracks. They're very, very separate from other soldiers on base. And I get up there and I get to the second floor and I walk through the doors into the hallway and I literally see a line of guys outside of a room, just like hanging out, bullshitting, just chatting. There's probably like 7 or 8 guys, and they're just standing there at 8:30 in the morning, like leaning up against the wall and bullshitting and talking. And like one of them had a comic book out. I remember seeing he had a comic book. It was just an odd place to be hanging out because the hallways weren't spacious. And I know that the Rangers partied hard, and most of these guys it was Saturday morning. Like they were clearly out the night before too, I'm sure. So fuck is going on here in this hallway? And and as I'm coming up on the room, the door opens and a Ranger walks out and high fives the next guy in line, and he walks in. And then the guy that had walked out just goes down the hall and goes in his room, disappears. I kept walking down. I get to Evan's room. I knock. I go in. He's tying his shoes up. I said, "Hey, what's going on down the hall?" He goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "There's like a line of guys outside of one room in the hall. Like, what's going on there?" He goes, "Oh, it's probably a Rangerette from last night." I'm like, "What's a Rangerette?" And he explained to me that the Rangers would find girls almost like groupies, and there would be a girl. Some girls were just really into Army Rangers, and they'd hook up and they would come home and go to that soldier's room, and then other Rangers would literally line up outside the room and just take turns and just run a train on this girl. And that this was like an every weekend occurrence. Like this was just a super common thing. And it was like 10 or 12 guys for each girl. And that to me was like mind blowing and odd and weird and disgusting. To go from that to 100 to 1,057, man, I'm gonna have some weird, twisted, yuck, nasty dreams tonight. Ugh. Yeah, that's the Rangerette story.
Feels kind of tame now.
It kind of does in hindsight compared to all this. Yeah, we've desensitized me to what it was once one of the more disgusting stories.
Yeah, well, you're a sensitive guy. We had to scale things a little bit.
Yeah, I am a sensitive guy. I'm a sensitive fellow. This is true. All right, thank you guys for listening. We're sorry for how disgusting this was. Next week we should have something.
I'm not,
Next week we should have something a little more highbrow. We'll talk about serial killers next week. Serial killer sounds fun.
because super highbrow.
Yeah, super highbrow.
At least
Highbrow.
at least give me one. Give me one to like.
All right, we'll find some way. We'll find some way to talk serial killers in a fun and enlightening way next week. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be great.
I'll do more quizzes. We love quizzes. I'll put together a quiz. It'll be good.
Love quizzes.
Love quizzes. Quizzes are good. All right, thank you guys for listening. We love you guys. I'm so glad we did not do this on live stream tonight. I think that was the wrong choice, and I'm glad we didn't go that route. Blah. All right, don't sleep with 1,057 people. Don't do that this week. If you're gonna do 1,058. Break the record at least.
Or spread it out.
Or spread it out. Well, I think you'd have to spread it out to do 1,058 people in a day. There'd be a lot of spreading going on. We appreciate
Okay,
you guys.
We need to leave.
We need to leave. I'm so sorry for where this went. I do apologize. Man, 2025 is just a year of degradation.
Gonna be
Ugh.
lit.
Yeah.
As the kids used to say 3 generations ago.
Yes. We love you guys. Go, Dad, go. Forgive us, please. We're sorry.